front. Darren Carville, the writer of the film. Glenn Labour, the what a wonderful film. Big round of applause. Just shoot your hand up there and somebody will come to you with a microphone. Don't be shy. It's a really small room.
I guess I should. Okay, that's all right.
Brave soul.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
I say it right, Derek?
Dara.
Sorry. My question is, you wrote the script, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of popped in your head when this whole thing kind of started? Like how did the characters and everything start forming?
We wanted to make a film about, well, we wanted to make a teen movie, basically. We wanted to make a film about young people here, because we kind of, I guess we figured we hadn't seen that film before. A film about the experience of teenagers in Belfast and Northern Ireland now, that was actually rooted in the place as it is, rather than the place as it has been represented over the years, with all the baggage of the troubles and all of that. We didn't want to do that at all. We wanted to make a film about contemporary Belfast and about young people. The story, the sort of engine of the story about two guys competing for the same girl arrived very early on. So those were the central ideas. There was that kind of engine to the story, and then was wanting to make a contemporary movie about young people. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question. Over there.
Great performances from the three leads, but I just wondered how hard you tried to cast locally.
We'd covered a lot of ground. We went to see a lot of schools and saw very many fine actors actually here, and there is great acting talent here. We just didn't find people who were right for those particular roles. So yes, that's how we ended up with Robert, who's from Dublin. Actually, Kimberly's from Wales, and Rupert's obviously from England. But yeah, there are very many fine actors here, but just probably not right for those roles. And the important thing was that they would be right for the roles, and not necessarily their postcode, I guess.
Piggybacking off of what you just said they were right for the roles. What made you feel that they were right for their particular role?
I guess that's always going to be a subjective thing, you know. We were on board to direct the film, so it was all about how we felt that those characters should come to life off the page. The important thing, I think, with these three leads was the dynamic between them. They're all very different characters, and I think that's true of the actors in real life as well. And what we were really concerned about was to get the right kind of energy between them, because that's what really makes the story sing.
Hello. So the two boys are competing for Michelle at the beginning, but we thought that by the time Luke was so happy for Malachy that he'd won, and then he realised that he was going to lose Malachy to the girl. Are they now both competing? Luke and Michelle are now competing for Malachy.
Yes. I think that does happen. I think there is a kind of change in the dynamic in that third act, and I always felt that so that there's kind of something freed up in the story in those kind of last moments, which makes then the sort of the violent turn. It feels to me, watching it, all the more kind of shocking. But yeah, I think there is a kind of three-way love story going on, and there's a lot about friendship. And it's very, the kind of isolation of the three characters is something that we were keen to in terms of their, their kind of home lives and family backgrounds was something that we were, always very keenly aware of, and that they found something together that wasn't built elsewhere, and that just feels like a sort of teenage experience.
Yes, and I think it's just, through the competition that the boys have over Michelle, I think Luke really begins to realise what the most important thing in his life is, just as he's going to lose it, which I think is really what drives that ending.
I have a quick question, that's all right. It's your first feature film. Could you say something about your experience of your first feature film? And you've done a really good job as first feature directors. I'm just curious of kind of how you found it.
I think before we started this whole project, and everybody warned us about the stamina that was going to be required for a feature, and I think initially we thought that was to do with the shoot, which is fairly frenetic and quite hectic, but actually it was quite a protracted process of the post-production as well. So yes, it was it was trying to keep our momentum and keep the stamina,
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a lot of things that we were quite frightened about to begin with, because it was our first time directing a feature, and because it's so much of a bigger task than working on a short. But I think what we were really surprised to find was really how much fun we had. I mean, we had an absolute ball making this, and that's due in large part to all the great people that we got to work with along the way.
Absolutely, we couldn't have been in better hands. The whole cast and crew and our producers were amazing. So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we have time for a couple more questions.
Dara, whenever you see the finished product, how similar is it to how you saw it on paper when you were writing it?
It's a strange thing because this is my second feature, and what I learned on the first one, just sort of picking up on what the guys were saying, I mean, it's just a massive learning process making a film, and the thing I learned on the first one was the truth of the old idea that a film is made 3 times. First of all in the writing, then in the shooting, and then in the editing. And that sort of came, that was clear again on this experience. I mean, there's a script, then there's what's happened in the shooting, and then the process of storytelling actually continues through the edit as well. So it's constantly kind of reinvented, and the weird thing happens as well when a film or a play or anything is cast, and if it's cast well, which this is, the characters become replaced in my head as the writer by the actors. So I almost have to really reach to try and remember who I thought Malky was before he was Rupert, because Rupert just seems to embody him so completely. So yeah, so it is very different, but that's kind of one of the joys of the process. It's really lovely kind of thing to say, but it is.
One more? No? Just down there. You can fill out.
Hello, congratulations. I just wanted to ask about the theme of water that's prevalent throughout the film, like right down to the details of the name of the club, the lifeboat, or the Titanic. And I wondered at what point in the whole film did you decide to have this theme? Or was it just Belfast's position near the sea? Where did it come from?
Well, I think probably it's like a lot of ideas, it sort of starts with something small and then grew to become a theme throughout the film. When we were shooting a short film here a couple of years ago, we had a Danish cinematographer who found the fact that we called things that we wanted to, to celebrate in this city after the greatest disaster of all time, pretty much. He just found that hilarious. And when we thought about it, it's interesting. It was interesting as a name for our Leisureplex, because it's about the new Belfast, but it also sort of signals the fairly grim and horrible ending that the film's going to finish up with. But it's also the notion of, I think as Dara was saying earlier, a new kind of Belfast that we maybe haven't seen on screen before, and what else makes up the identity of this city, and things that people might not know so much about already. And also I think just the idea that it's a coming of age story, the idea of change and flux. It's got lots of layers.
Yeah, I mean, I think, because I must say this is an element that Glenn and Lisa brought really strongly to the project. Perhaps partly because I'm not from Belfast, so I lived here for years. I'm from Armagh. But when the guys came on board, they brought a really strong sense of place, you know, and this place particularly. And when you think about depictions of Belfast in film before, the fact that it's, you know, that it's a sort of dock, you know, that is by the water isn't something that you see very often. I mean, it's mostly you see whoops, sorry, red brick, you know, kind of urban streetscape, and I think that, you know, the sort of sea imagery and all of that, I thought was something really fantastically fresh that they brought into it.
Just one more over there.
We're going to the pub after if you want to ask us questions. I mean, we're happy to do this as well.
Congratulations.
On the
I'd
pub?
just like to ask, see the 4 leads, how much of an input would they have in the film? Say they come to you and say, I better do it this way, or I think you should do it that way. You know, would they be engrossed in it? You know, would they have a big input?
I think actors always do, and I think if you can have a good conversation with the actors, and if they're engaged enough to want to give you their ideas, that's hopefully good. Ultimately, yes, we like to talk to them and to find out what their ideas are, but at the same time, I think the film's going to collapse if, as directors, you don't have a fairly solid idea of what you want and where you want it to go. But yeah, absolutely, great ideas come up on set all the time, not just from the actors, but from so many people that are working with the crew, and I think you'd be very foolish not to take advantage of that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, I'd like to also add to that, as Lisa says, there's so many other members of the crew, and you're really not doing your job if you're not listening to their input and the things that they can bring to it. You know, you can only do so much yourself, and it's brilliant to sort of ask people, get their opinions. Yeah.
And can I add one wee thing to that as well? I've mostly worked in theatre up till now, and one of the kind of great luxuries you have with theatre, I've just started rehearsals on a new play. We've got 4 weeks rehearsals before we go on stage. In film, generally you have no rehearsals whatsoever, you just go straight on. And one of the great things, again, that the guys did with this was they found time to work with the cast before shooting started. I think it was like a week or 10 days or something. And I think part of, you get that sense when you watch this that these people are friends, you know, that they kind of have lived together, you know, Robbie and Rupert. And I think they started to find that synchronicity through the rehearsal process, but it's pretty unusual in film, apparently.
Okay, we're just going to draw to a close. Premieres are always really special, and I think what makes it even more special is when there's so much local talent up on the screen, and the film festival is really, really honoured to be able to premiere this film tonight. And I'd like to thank you all for coming along and participating. Thanks very much.